Hey, Lewis here, Head of Product at Motion. In this lesson, we'll explore how Motion works with your external calendars, how to define your schedule, and how to effectively schedule internal meetings. Motion isn't a calendar provider itself. It's an intelligent assistant that integrates with your existing calendars. This allows you to manage your time efficiently by bringing all your events into one place while keeping personal and work schedules in sync. Motion syncs with external calendars like Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, and Apple iCloud. This allows you to view all your calendars in one unified interface. It allows Motion to intelligently schedule tasks around your event, and it keeps personal and work events separate while ensuring that there's no conflicts. For example, I have my work calendar connected to Motion, which is where Motion schedules my tasks. But I also have my personal Gmail and my personal iCloud calendars connected, so Motion knows when I have a lunch with a friend or a doctor's appointment. This way, it can schedule tasks efficiently around my personal commitments as well. Motion automatically syncs any changes you make to your external calendars as well. Meaning that, for example, if I create an event in Motion, it automatically gets reflected in my external calendar. So if I have a Gmail account, it gets reflected on my Google Calendar. If I have an Outlook account, on my Outlook calendar. And if I have an iCloud account, on my Apple Calendar. Motion also respects privacy. Even though it knows when I'm unavailable due to personal events, it does not share any details with my company. So how does Motion work exactly with external calendars? Motion pulls in events from any connected calendars and mirrors existing sharing settings. If you have shared your Google Calendar, for example, with a colleague, Motion will reflect that visibility. Since Motion mirrors external sharing settings, if you can't see a teammate's calendars, you'll need to go and share it externally first, in Google, Outlook, or iCloud. So let's take a look at what Motion Calendar looks like. When you land in Motion, you will see that there's a calendar tab right here. And when you click it, you see your familiar calendar. In here, you will see your events and you will see your tasks. You can open up an event, for example, this company all hands, and you can edit it, you can change the color, you can add guests, etc. Let's go and take a look at calendar settings. I'm gonna go here to settings, calendars, and in here is where you can add different accounts. You can add, for example, a different Google Calendar, different Outlook calendar, or an iCloud calendar. Once you connect your accounts, you can choose which calendars to show or hide from Motion. Here is also where you select which calendar is your main calendar. Remember, this is the calendar that Motion uses to schedule your tasks against. Let's go to the Autoscheduling tab and look through a few more settings. This first setting is very important. Show Motion tasks on your external main calendar, Google, Outlook, or iCloud. By default, Motion tasks are only shown in Motion. You will not be able to see Motion tasks if you're using the calendar externally. So if you open up your Google Calendar, for example, you will not see Motion tasks in there. However, you can override that setting like I have it here. You can show Motion on your external calendar, but you can keep the tasks as free. So what does that do? That mirrors your Motion tasks in the external calendar, but it keeps them free, so your calendar doesn't look blocked if somebody's trying to schedule time with you. Next, you have this option, same as the option above, but tasks that are at risk of missing deadline are marked as busy. So when Motion tries to schedule your tasks, some of these tasks can be at risk of missing their deadline. With this setting, Motion will automatically block time on your external calendar so people can't schedule meetings with you at that time. The next setting right here is whether or not you want to display task names. So if you're showing your Motion tasks in your external calendar, there's two ways that Motion can put those tasks in your external calendar. It can either display the task's names, in which case the full name of the task is displayed on the external calendar, meaning if somebody has access to that calendar, they will be able to see the task names. However, you can turn this off, and in that case, Motion tasks will just say Motion task. No names will be shared with anybody. Let's take a look at conference settings. So this is the next thing that you want to care about. By default, because I've connected my Google Calendar, I have Google Meet as my default conference method, but you can change this to anything you want. You can connect your Zoom account and set up your meeting link for Zoom, and you can set up a custom location. Let's go to the next tab here called Time Zone. In here, you can set up your default time zone, and if you want to show a secondary time zone on your calendar, you can do that as well. So let's go back and let's learn how to make an event. You can make an event by dragging and clicking on create event. You can give it a title and you can use the scheduling assistant to find time with others. Open scheduling assistant. You can add guests and it will show their calendars here as well as yours. I'm gonna go cancel. I'm gonna go ahead and create this event. Now that I've created the event, I called it title. Let's call it something better. My demo event. Go ahead and save it. From within this event, I can join a Google Meet. I can click right here and see this event in Google Calendar because that's where my event actually lives. I can add it to a project. So events can exist in projects. I can add guests. I can change my conference settings, my location, my visibility, whether the event is private, public, or default. I can change the color. Let's change this to lavender because I like that color. And I can enter a message. If you have multiple calendars connected, this option will be available for you and you can actually change which calendar this event is created against, meaning that you can manage multiple calendars within Motion. I want to show you this busy and free setting. So right now, I'm going to leave it as busy and I'm going to click save. Let's go back to the calendar and you see that I have my demo event here. I'm going to move this up here and I want you to see what happens. When I move this event up here, Motion will reschedule my tasks to avoid that event. But if I grab this event and I mark it as free, let's watch what happens. Motion will schedule tasks as if that event was not there. So a free event is an event that you want to have on your calendar, but you're telling Motion, go ahead, you can schedule tasks over that event. A busy event is an event that time blocks on your calendar. So let's put this back as busy just to see again what happens. Busy and save. And you see Motion reschedules around that event. I can also grab this event and make it an all-day event. So if I click this button right here, it becomes an all-day event. And if I save it, you'll see that it goes up here. You'll see that it's white because it's a free event and all tasks are scheduled right here. But if I click it and I make it busy again, you will see this dashed lines through the calendar and Motion won't be scheduling any tasks during that day. I can make this a multi-day event, for example, like this, if I'm going on vacation, and Motion will clear up both of my days for that. Okay, now let's grab this event and make it into a recurring event. Let's go back here, take off the all day, make it shorter. So Thursday through Thursday, 7:30, let's say 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So that's 1 hour. And let's click on this does not repeat. So let's click here. I can make it repeat daily, weekly on Wednesday, monthly on the second Wednesday, every weekday, or I can set up a custom recurrence. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Right now it's set up to Wednesday. Say I want it on Wednesdays and Fridays every week. Let's go ahead and save and let's see what happens. So I've saved that event and now it got updated and it's right here on Wednesday and on Friday. Now let's take a look at the right side here. On the right side, you have your month view right here. So I can click on any day here. Today, it's highlighted. If I want to go back to today, I can also click this button right here. I have access here to the rest of the calendars. So for example, if I want to see holidays in the United States, I can enable this calendar and holidays will come up. Like for example, daylight savings time on Sunday. I also have my agenda right here, so I can expand it and I can see all my tasks and events with a little bit more data. For example, when it's scheduled, if it's before deadline or after deadline, and the priority. I can go ahead and complete them from right here. I can also complete them from the calendar by clicking right there. All right, let me close this out. I don't want to see the agenda anymore. I can add a calendar from right here if I want to. I can add a time zone from right here if I want to. There's a few display options you have from here, like when to start the week, whether or not you want to show completed tasks, whether or not you want to show events in the agenda view, and if you want to show or hide tasks in future stages. More on that later. I can go here to create an event as well by clicking this plus button, or I can go to the new button over here and create new meeting or event, and that does the same thing. I can close this out and make things a little bit more zen, and I can close this out and only see my calendar. Very nice. Let's open this back up, and I want to show you the agenda view. The agenda view, it's a flip version of the calendar. So if you only want to see what tasks Motion recommends you work on today, You can see them right here. So these are my tasks for tomorrow. I can complete them from here. Open task, change deadline, start task. If I want to time track, I can right click on it. And I also have all kinds of actions that I can do with that task. I can see my calendar right next to this. One of my favorite ways to use Motion is just like this. So for example, tomorrow, I know what I have to do. It's right here, but it's also right here. Let's make this smaller again. The last thing I want to show you about the calendar is how to set up your schedules. So let's go back to settings and let's look at schedules. In here, I have a few default schedules that have been set up for me, but I can create a new schedule and I can set up any way I want. What is a schedule, you might ask? A schedule is a set of time in which Motion will schedule a specific task. For example, the default schedule for everything is work hours. So I can go in here and edit and define what my work hours are. Motion will schedule tasks in these time slots. But I also have this anytime schedule that is 24/7. So if I open this up, I can see that everything is covered. Let's go back to Motion and see how to put that in practice. Let's say I have this task here to tell you guys how awesome you are in this tutorial video, and I can do this anytime. I can go here in schedule, change this from work hours to anytime, and now this task can be scheduled anytime, not just between 9 and 5. So if we go up here to today, you'll see that now this task is scheduled today because it's 7:30 p.m. Okay, let's go back and take one last look at the calendar. Here's the calendar. There's plenty more things you can do. For example, you can click this little clock icon right here and tell Motion when you want to start and stop tasks that day. You can grab a task and move it around. That locks it in place for you to work on it at that time. You can resize events just by clicking and dragging, and much more. Let's take a look at how you can schedule meetings with external participants. For that, we have a solution called the booking link. With booking links, you no longer need to go back and forth finding a time that works. Instead, Motion automatically filters your availability, ensuring meetings are scheduled without conflicts. So let's set up our first booking link. To set up a booking link, you go to the calendar tab and you click on booking links. Here you will see one-time link. Let's click on it and see what happens. If you create a one-time link, Motion shows you some options right here. For example, duration, if you want to invite anybody else to the meeting, what the conference method should be, who should be the host, and then a customizable message. You can copy the link. You see that this error came up right here. That's because I haven't picked up any time slots. So for example, if I want to meet with somebody, let's say I have availability tomorrow at this time, Tuesday at this time, Wednesday at this time, I can set those up right here and you'll see that the message gets updated. I can copy that link and that's now on my clipboard. If I open a new tab and I put that booking link, you will see this experience right here. So when you send it to people, they can pick out a time to meet with you. Let's see what happens if I actually do this. Let's say Monday at 11:30. Let's say a client wants to meet with me and their email is client@usemotion.com. They can also add guests. And when they click schedule event, Motion sends an invite to their calendar, right? And Motion books straight in my calendar. So let's go back to Motion and take a look. And you'll see that this event appears right here and my tasks have been rescheduled. Okay, so now let's go back here and create a new booking link that is not a one-time link. So this booking link is going to be more durable. If I click on create new booking link, you will see a ton of options here. Let's walk through them. Let's say I want to do some user interviews. And so I'm going to call this user interviews. I can set up a schedule. Just like I can set up schedules for tasks, I can set up schedules for booking link. And so you see all my schedules right here. I can also set up a date range, which means how far ahead guests can book meetings with me. So I want to show availability not for the next 14 days, only for the next 7 days. And I don't want people to start booking tomorrow. I can set up buffer time. This is to prevent back-to-back meetings. And so I can set a buffer time of 15 minutes and I have the option to create time blocks so that nobody can schedule those 15 minutes after me. And lastly, I can set up a limit to the number of meetings per day that this link can generate. So for user interviews, let's say I don't want to do any more than 3 per day. Down here, I can set up my event details. So I'm going to call this user interview with Luis. Duration is going to be 30 minutes. but I'm gonna allow people to also book for 45 minutes if they would like. My location is gonna be Google Meet. The host is gonna be myself. Here's my name. And I can automatically invite other guests to the event. And lastly, down here, I have some options for the link itself. So for example, right here is the URL, but I can customize it and say user interview. I can also tell Motion if it should send a reminder before the meeting starts. I'm gonna leave it disabled. And I can add here a couple of questions that I want people to answer before they book. So let's go right here and say, do you like Motion? And it's gonna be a multiple choice. It's gonna be required. And the choices are yes, of course, and how could I not? All right, let's go ahead and save this. And I'm gonna click on create template. So now my template's created and it's right here, user interviews. So I can click here to edit. I can embed it on a website. Motion generates the code to generate on a website. I can duplicate it or delete it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy the link and we're gonna see what happens to the calendar. So let's go ahead and copy the link. Let guests choose the duration. And now the link is on my clipboard. All right, so now I have a side-by-side. Here's my calendar and here's my booking link. When you send that link to people and they click on it, this is the experience they get. So say I'm a client and the client gets this link and they'll say, okay, I want to meet for 45 minutes. And so right here, they get the option to set time with me over the next 7 days because that's how I set it up. And let's see, for example, on Tuesday, my whole day is free. So it shows up at free. But let's say they want to meet with me on Wednesday. And you can see that the earliest they can meet with me is 10:45 a.m., which is right here, right? Because my last meeting ends at 10:30. And I had said I want 15 minutes between meetings. So that's why the first option is 10:45. So watch here what's going to happen. The client is going to pick 10:45 and they're going to say, so my name is super cool client. My email is coolclient@motion.com. And let's say, do you like Motion? Yes, of course. So let's click schedule event. That sends an email to coolclient@usemotion.com. Sends an email to myself. You see that the event came in and you saw how my calendar just rearranged itself. Booking link makes it very, very easy for people to set up time on your calendar. Okay, so let's go ahead and recap what we've covered. Motion syncs with your Google, Outlook, and iCloud calendars, allowing you to manage work and personal schedules all in one place. Motion reflects your external calendar's sharing settings. So if you can't see a teammate's calendar, for example, you need to make sure to share it externally with your provider first. Free events do not block time, while busy events prevent Motion from scheduling tasks during that period. You can define your work schedule in Motion to ensure tasks are planned within your preferred hours. You can also define custom schedules if you want to tell Motion to schedule a task at a different time. Meetings can be easily scheduled in Motion via the new button or by just dragging on the calendar and using the scheduling assistant to find time with your teammates. Okay, that's it for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy scheduling. Bye-bye.